Hello everyone, my name is Ricardo Hyde and I am working on Zone 416.
I'm Alex Leach and I'm here with CG Magazine, and we're here to talk to someone about a very interesting game here. There are a lot of zombie games that are out there. There's a lot of zombie videos out there. Zombies are a big part of our zeitgeist, and one Toronto developer, fresh onto the scene, is looking to do something new with the genre. What is Zone 416? What is this game?
Well, Zone 416 is a post-apocalyptic base building management game where players play as an omnipresent leader that is put in charge of a group of survivors that he must try to lead out of the apocalypse through researching lost technologies, taking care of their needs, like building a base to provide security. You gotta feed your survivors, you gotta do a whole bunch of things to just try to lead them out of the apocalypse.
So like collect medicine, build defenses.
Resources, yes.
You'd be fighting a lot of zombies. Will you be fighting other people?
Other than just the regular zombies that you typically see in a zombie game, you will also be fighting other leaders that run their own camps, and all these leaders are unique, and they're unique in their own way that they kind of, whenever you run into them, they'll have their own tendencies and ways of reacting to things. So
demeanors.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's kind of like the leaders from Civilization. Montezuma's very aggressive, whereas you might run into another one who's very passive, and you gotta play your cards right to ensure the victory that you want to go for.
And is this all randomly generated?
The leaders are going to be predefined, but a whole lot of the things that we plan, like the survivors, are going to be randomly generated. We want the cities to be randomly generated, and yeah.
Now you mentioned the cities to be randomly generated because one of the big things about this is it's set in Toronto.
Right.
It's set. That's why it's called Zone 416 because 416 area code.
Yep.
So it's going to be randomly generated. It's not going to be taking actual city layout and just recreating that.
Well, actually, yeah. If we're randomly generating the game, we're going to be using landmarks that are typically found around Toronto, and then probably just mixing it up a little differently. If we get on to our funding stretch goal on Kickstarter, then we'll actually incorporate a story mode that actually has neighborhoods and boroughs from Toronto.
Sounds interesting. And you guys are using Kickstarter. It's a few days in at this point. What made you choose Kickstarter?
Well, Kickstarter is very interesting. I ran into it I found out about Kickstarter pretty late. I found out about it maybe around last year summer, and I always loved the ideas that I've seen on there, and okay, maybe one day I should put one of my projects on Kickstarter, and then after getting after school and getting into my final projects, I started working on Zone 416, and I thought to myself, and everybody else was saying that, oh, this is a really good game, you should continue to develop it, and I thought, how would I need the funds? And it only makes sense to use Kickstarter because you can kind of get the community to work with you and actually creating a finished product. So.
And how have you felt about using Kickstarter? Are you pleased with the process so far?
Yes, it's pretty streamlined. I like the way it's going so far. Easy to update your projects, easy to speak with your backers and get their feedback and stuff like that. So it's pretty good so far.
And who are you working with on this?
I'm working with a small team. There's me, the project lead. We have a game designer. His name is Andy Cascanet. We have our concept artist Julian Nima and our story writer Jennifer Robbins. And that's everybody that's working on the team so far.
Okay. And how did they get involved in the process?
Well, actually, me and Julian, the artist, we go back to when we were in school. My course, the game programming course, and his course, the 3D animation course, we're collaborating to create a game. And I actually met him through that collaboration process, and we've been working together ever since there. We did a couple of game jams together, like Apathon. We did that. I started working on a mobile game with him, and I asked him if he can join me with Zone 416, and he kindly said yes. He was working with Jen on another project of the story writer, and he introduced me to her, and that's how we got our story writer. And Andy, I actually peer tutored for his class in college, so and he said he wanted to be a game designer, and he had a whole bunch of cool things to offer to Zone 416. So I was like, sure, come along, and it turned out great.
So with Zone 416, you've got the whole thing where you can build, where you basically gather up your survivors, you defend them against zombies. And what style of zombie are we looking at here? Are they like there's different types, you know, the slow ones, fast ones?
Well, we don't want to just have one kind of zombie. I mean, that'd be kind of lame, right? Well, so what we have is actually the story of the game is that people from the University of Toronto, researchers from that institution, were working on a cure for cancer, and they started experimenting with experimental virus that they created, and they accidentally injected it into an animal that had rabies, and that caused the mutation, leading animals to be very aggressive. So we're actually looking at aggressive zombies, some that mutate to be very fast and strong, careless, some that can't even attack, they just prefer to scream and attract other zombies to their location. And we have giant zombies that will probably be throwing things and stuff like that. So I like to think of my zombies as more of infected, but they're still technically zombies. But that movie I Am Legend, I like to think of something like that, where those mutated humans are like.
I see what you mean. Yeah. So and there's going to be more. There's going to be a lot of different types of zombies. There's going to be non-human zombies.
Yeah. Okay. Well, not necessarily non-human, but mutated humans.
So mutated humans. So all the zombies are human. You're not going to get like
animal zombies. Yeah. Well, the mutation started out with small animals, right? So like dogs and possibly cats and raccoons and stuff like that. But yeah, so you definitely probably be seeing some smaller mammals in the game. Probably not at the release, but hopefully later on down the line.
I'm just imagining zombie skunks, and I'm actually horrified by that idea, and I'm surprised nobody's done that before.
Wow.
That's actually...
That would be a double-edged sword. They stink and they're vicious.
And when it comes to zombies, what kind of threat are they? Are they a very aggressive threat?
Yeah, very aggressive. So if they see you, they'll begin chasing you. I mean, we have one of our states for the zombie. We call it the Walker for now. We're probably gonna change that. It's kind of like the first state where they're still half humans, half zombie, and they're very unpredictable. So sometimes they might choose to run away, sometimes they might choose to attack, and you never really know what you're gonna get. So, but after they mutate through the other states, they become a lot more predictable, whether being really aggressive, really passive, or really
so that they mutate over time. Like as the game goes on, you get more complicated zombies.
Well, yeah. So they all start out as the Walker, and then they can either mutate to 3 different paths. Okay. And then they stay in those 3 different paths for the rest of that game.
Sounds like there's an entire system to the zombie side of things. Makes you almost want to play them.
Yeah. I was thinking about a game mode for that, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but...
That would be an interesting long-term thing.
Yeah.
Now, why choose the city of Toronto as the venue?
Why not, right? I love Toronto. I will always... I mean, growing up as a kid, I mean, after playing Grand Theft Auto, I'm like, when will they ever make a Grand Theft Auto Toronto or something like that? So, seeing the fact that I'm a game developer and I love to embrace my city, and now I can actually make my own content and help put Toronto on the map, I guess.
Okay, and what is it about Toronto that makes it work for a zombie apocalypse?
I don't think anybody would expect it to be here. I mean, it's just I mean, all big cities would probably work for a zombie apocalypse, but me personally, I actually like, and it just fits. Zone 416 sounds pretty cool. I mean,
yeah, it does. Yeah. It sounds like kind of a really harsh, like dehumanized setting, right?
It is. It's a quarantine zone. So.
Which contrasts with it being one of the most multicultural cities in the world.
Yeah, that's true. And which also will play back into the kind of leaders that we can create. We're trying to make our leaders very multicultural, so different types, and not just playing on regular stereotypes, but just make them unique.
Now it's all about 3 so far.
Yeah, we're probably gonna have about 8 to 10 for the full game. Just we haven't flushed all their perks and weaknesses out yet, so and we still have to get concept art for them and all that other stuff. So that's why.
Okay, cool. And do you play as one of them, or do you play as just yourself, as a faceless, nameless being?
Well, pretty much, yeah. You play as a faceless being, and we actually plan to implement a system where you kind of build your leader as the game goes along. So throughout the game, you'll be picking different perks that add bonuses to your camp, and after the game, you can see the actual path you chose, and you can see the kind of leader that you actually played throughout that game.
One of the things about this game, and I've noticed it when I first looked at it, and a lot of other people you mentioned had seen it, is that it reminds me a lot of Project Zomboid, which is a British-made independent zombie game.
Correct.
There's a few other independent games, and the major difference I've noticed with this one is that it's a real-time strategy game with civilization elements, which I haven't seen in any other one of that. What was the reasoning behind choosing to make it an RTS?
Well, like I mentioned before, I really love RTS games. I'm a big fan of StarCraft. I've been playing since StarCraft 1, and I still play StarCraft 2 today. So yeah, I kind of wanted to, implement that into the mechanics of the game. And like you said, there are a lot of zombie games out right now, but they're either first person, third person. There's not much. I don't want to say innovation, because I don't want to throw rocks at any other games out there. But I just think that there's not I have never seen a real time or a zombie game that doesn't focus on just one person, but it focuses on a base or a camp of survivors overall, right? So not only was StarCraft and Civilization one of the things that influenced Zone 416, but also The Walking Dead. Kind of the kind of the vibe that Rick's camp had against the governor's camp, and I kind of think I was thinking to myself, that'd be pretty cool, if we had different factions and spread out throughout the map, and they have their ways of interacting with each other. So yeah, then that's how that came together.
Well, yeah, you mentioned as you mentioned, a lot of zombie games focus on isolation rather than community. Do you think that's something you want to see in zombie film, and how can zombie fiction move into that, do you feel?
Well, I feel that, not just on the games level, but I think The Walking Dead did a good job of that. Not really focusing too much on the zombies, but focusing more on the survivors. And so I think it's probably already headed in the right direction. Hopefully, Zone 416 can tip it in that favor a little bit more. Maybe revive zombies.
Revive zombies.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, revive zombies by focusing less on them and more on them. What is the appeal of zombies if we want to not focus on them?
What is the appeal? Well, usually, zombies are still very cool. Right? So, it's a cause for the setting in Zone 416.
Yeah. So,
I still personally, I was never really a big zombie fan until I started watching The Walking Dead. So, coming into it, everyone was saying, oh, the zombies thing is so or so outdone or whatever like that. But I was still fresh into it. I never really played that much zombie games. So I really wanted to make something different, and here we are, right? So.
Now, one thing about the game, you have right now sort of a put together sort of pre-alpha thing.
Demo? Yeah. Well, it's not really an alpha. I think it's like even further than an alpha. Like it's considered a demo.
Okay.
So yeah.
You mentioned on the Kickstarter you're looking for 2016 for that development, assuming the Kickstarter goes through. And what exactly why exactly pick that amount of time to do that?
Well, it gives us a lot of time to actually work on a lot of the mechanics that we promised, right? Even though I've been working on Zone 416 for a year, it was not full time. I was in school, and a lot of the mechanics that we have now have recently just been developed over the last couple months. So they're not yet implemented into the game, and we probably need that time to make sure, because it's a pretty big game, as I'm pretty sure what you're hearing. Civilization has very intricate stats that define each leader and camp or civilization and stuff like that. So we want to make sure we get that balance well developed, and so 2016 only seems right.
Yeah.
Well, and if we finish early, then we can always release early, right? So there's
no use rushing yourself, right?
Make any promises you can't.
Yeah, when we have the best game out you possibly can.
Yeah, that's
when do we get to try it out? When do we?
Well, that depends on we said the Kickstarter is successful. We hopefully we can have a beta early 2016 at least, maybe mid 2016. As for that, that's all I have to say for that for now.
Fair enough. Well, we're going to be looking forward to heading down Bay Street with a bunch of zombie...
Being Natalie.
bunch of zombie stockbrokers coming after us.
So even Rob Ford.
Oh man, special.
People said that.
Ooh,
heard that before.
Little political, but well, you know, coming until the days when the virus hits. This is Alex Leach with CG Magazine and Ricardo Hyde. Ricardo Hyde. I apologize.
No problem.
And we're going to be looking forward to some zombies.
Thanks.